Thank you for joining me today. So I've been going live at 11 o'clock every Wednesday, just sharing some insights from my past of running a successful accountancy practice. And I want to share with you some of the things that basically I would have done differently. So running my successful accountancy practice, what would I have done differently? What did I do that worked incredibly well? What did I do that didn't work very well? I got my accountancy practice to six figures within 2.5 years. We did exceptionally well. We became global runner-up in an award for QuickBooks Firm of the Future, which I was incredibly proud of. But the biggest thing I was most proud of was our impact with B1G1, where we changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people worldwide by doing small things like providing water for the day or providing seeds and food for the day for children in Malawi. And that was something I was exceptionally proud of. So that's a bit about me. But what I want to share with you today is a bit of a story of something that, I don't know if I can swear, really annoys me, and it still annoys me to this day, and I still see a lot of people doing it. My question to you is, are you fed up with clients expecting, and this is the word I want you to focus on, expecting you to do stuff for free? So expecting you to work for free. I don't know about you, but it really, really annoys me when you're working so many hours to get their work done. I remember this all too well in my practice. I remember being in the office, phone rings, I answer the phone call, client is now expecting me to do something, change something, which is fine. That's not a problem. Something needs to change. But then asking me to go above and beyond and start providing reports that we had not agreed as part of our engagement. Now, therein lies a problem in some of the expectation of the client. And what was worse was that I allowed it to happen. I categorically allowed it to happen because I would do everything and anything I could to make sure I kept the clients happy. But the problem in doing that is that my profitability was affected because we were trying to be this amazing customer service. We were trying to go above and beyond to be the best accountants in Nottingham at the time. And we were doing an exceptional job, and it was working, and we were getting referrals, which was fantastic. But for me, something had to change. Now, I don't know about you, but when you're doing these things for free and your clients, and it's that expectation of you doing it for free. Now, when you're doing stuff for free, one of the key numbers I was monitoring was our hourly rate that we were achieving, or average hourly rate we were achieving per job. Now, these particular clients, pitter clients, as a lot of people like to refer to, pain in the fill in the blanks. But as a practice owner, it's too much. We're trying to do marketing, we're trying to do sales. I was trying to do client meetings, I was trying to meet accounting deadlines, tax return deadlines, VAT return deadlines, and I've got a client on the phone telling me or asking me to do something. Not only asking me to do something, but asking me to do something by the end of the day. And there's me, yes, sir, I'll do it. Now, I don't know about you, but it becomes a pointless job because the clients don't respect your time, and they weren't respecting of my time. I was effectively training my clients that was an acceptable thing to do. Now, I don't know about you, but I tried I tried fixed prices. But that was where the problem lied, because when I was charging by the hour, like most people do when they start their accounting or bookkeeping practice, I knew I had to transition to something that was more scalable, and fixed prices seemed to be the way forward. I was at the time, I was learning a lot from Mark Wickersham, Ron Baker, Paul Dunn, Steve Pipe, all about how to position myself differently and how to do fixed prices. But the problem I had there was our average hourly rate that we were achieving per job was actually going down massively because we were actually trying to go above and beyond for our clients. But we were therefore training the clients also that this was acceptable. So I decided to go and study more. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, like a lot. I attended so many webinars, and all of these webinars, all of this time was time away from my family, and I absolutely hated it. I just had the birth of my son Tobias, and it was awful. I was spending so much time trying to learn how to solve this problem because I felt like if I could solve this problem in my practice, it was going to give me more freedom. It was going to give me more time to actually be at home. I was working 50, 60 hours a week. And in January, I mean, it wouldn't be unusual to work up to 100 hours at times, being there, burning the midnight oil. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt because I was trying to provide this exceptional service. The problem was, with this exceptional service, I wasn't charging for it. I wasn't charging for the value that I was giving to my clients. So herein, there are 3 tips that I learned along my way to ultimately overcome this. And I did overcome this, and I started to grow my practice even more. I built I brought on more team members. So I brought in a chartered accountant. I had a trainee accountant already working for me. He'd just passed his AAT exam, so he was starting to take off some of this workload. I was starting to see my hours reduce in the amount of hours I was working. It was brilliant. But there was 3 things that I discovered, and hopefully you want to know those 3 things. Do you want to know those 3 things? Now, like my coach says, these are going to sound common sense, but they're not common practice. Now, I know of the accountants and bookkeepers that I've worked with, and I've worked with thousands whilst working with Mark Wickersham's cloud pricing product, and helping them price their services more profitable and helping them grow their practice. And I learned so much doing that, the other side of the fence. But the 3 things that stand out for me is, we'll go into that. One of the things that stands out for me is that accountants and bookkeepers are some of the nicest people I've ever met. Like we are so kind, we're so giving. I've only ever met one accountant that I don't like, and I'm not going to mention who they are. But let's just say they legally took about £25,000 from me. So, I didn't like them. wasn't very nice, man. Just all about the money, not about the people. So what are those 3 things? Well, the first one is just stop. Just stop giving stuff away for free. When your client asks you to do something for free, you have to stop. And like I say, this sounds so much like common sense, but it's not common practice because we're too kind. We're trying to provide this exceptional service, and we can still provide an exceptional service, but we need to stop. It doesn't matter if the client leaves. If the client leaves you because you won't do something for free, good riddance. Absolutely good riddance, because they do not respect you, they do not respect your time, and they do not see the value in your service. So let them go. Let go. Stop trying to control everything around you. I was the world's worst. And you just cannot allow them to carry on. So I want you to think of this in a real life scenario, and I like to think of this when I'm with my children. So one of the things that I've seen or learned as a parent, as well as a business owner, is that what we do and the way we communicate with our children is very, very important to the end result. Now, let's take, for example, with a child. So if you let a child get away with too much, so for example, if you let a child have an ice cream at 7 o'clock just before bedtime, and you keep doing it every single night, and then you have enough, you've just had enough, that's it, no more ice cream before bed, because they're not sleeping, they're not getting up in the morning, I'm not saying I've done that. Well, technically I have, and my wife really tells me off for that. But again, this is where lies the problem. I was training my child, Tobias, that was okay. I was training him that it's okay for him to have ice cream at 7 o'clock. Okay. My wife kept telling me, no, that's not acceptable. But truth be told, it was only me that wanted the ice cream. Okay. I wasn't doing it every night, but what I'm trying to say is the expectation was there. And I was training my child that was acceptable. And that's the exact same thing that we're doing for our clients, is by letting them get away with it, by letting them have things for free. They're going to continue to want things for free. They're going to continue to want your time for free. So we have to manage their expectations like I did with Tobias. And I said to Tobias, look, this cannot go on. Like, you cannot keep having ice creams before bed. You can have an ice cream, and okay, not every night, but you can have an ice cream, or you can have a treat, but it has to be before 6 o'clock. So I laid down the gauntlet with my son, and it worked. And this is exact same principles when you take that into your practice, because all you have to do is stop giving them what they want. So if they want something for free, of course they want it for free. Like, who wouldn't want something for free? Does that make sense? Like, okay, this might sound contradicting in terms, because I'm giving my knowledge and giving my experience away for free. But this is not, you're not expecting that, or hopefully you're not expecting that. Does that make sense? Like, I'm doing that out of the goodness of my heart, because I want to see I don't want to see the accounting and bookkeeping trade become redundant to technology. I don't want to see that. And that's what's my mission, my purpose, to help you overcome that, to become the advisor that you should be. So that's number one. Let's stop. So number two is clarity. And we have got to be crystal clear with our clients as to exactly what we will do, but then on the flip side, what we will not do. So again, to give a real life story. So in the morning, around about 6:30, the Jackson alarm goes off. So Jackson is my youngest, and the Jackson alarm goes off. And typically I wait for about 5-10 minutes, and my wife will go, and typically she will breastfeed Jackson, and the Jackson alarm goes off. And I laugh, because this was, again, learned behavior. This was trained behavior. So I got so used to that, and I didn't know that my wife was getting extremely, I won't swear, annoyed at me because she felt like I was just ignoring Jackson. Now, it wasn't that I wasn't ignoring Jackson. It was because my expectation was that that's what she did. Because she was breastfeeding, that's what she'd done. And she was not very clear. She was not very clear on her expectations. She didn't say to me, Jamie, could you feed Jackson this morning? It was just a case of I would hear the Jackson alarm, and Lauren would get up before me. Now, she wasn't managing my expectation. She wasn't very clear that she wanted me to do that, if that makes sense. So obviously we had a bit of an argument and a bit of a tiff over it, as you do as parents. But I was saying to her, look, you just need to be clear what it is you want me to do. If you want me to get up at 6:30 with Jackson, I will get up at 6:30 with Jackson. It is not a problem. I do not have a problem getting up with my child at all. I love it. I absolutely love it. But again, this is bringing it back into the client scenario. This is what we need to do with clients. We need to be very, very clear with our communication, even putting it into childlike terms, so a child could understand it. This is exactly what I will do. But then also it's very clear that this is what I will not do. So my wife was very clear, look, I will not be waking up every single day at 6:30 to feed Jackson. So that was very, very clear to me that as to what I needed to do. And that's exactly the same with clients. And one of the tools that I found exceptionally useful for doing this was just a ticks and crosses. Ticks and crosses. This is what I will do as part of your service. This is what I won't do. And I would always focus on what we wouldn't do. So the client, I could manage the client's expectations. And what happened off the back end, was amazing, because clients started to say, oh, I didn't realize you didn't do that as part of that package. Actually, I really need that. So how do I get that as part of my service? Well, you need to upgrade your package. So therein, start charging more money. So just by doing that exercise, it manages your clients' expectations. Like they don't, there are some clients, and I'm going to say like 1% of clients that are just, they are pitter clients. Like they just expect everything for nothing. They've had it tough. Life's been very, very tough on them, and their expectations are not being managed, and they're just very cutthroat, and they don't deliberately do it. And I don't feel like anyone deliberately does anything to be mean, but again, it's what they're used to. And if they've been through 3 accountants, as I've seen one client that I actually sacked, she went through 3 accountants before coming to us. I should have seen the warning signs. I didn't take the warning signs, and I resigned as her accountant, and gave her money back as well, as a goodwill gesture. But anyway, the point is that you need to be very, very clear on what you're doing. And again, ticks and crosses is a great way of doing that. Just, you don't need to get over complex. You don't need to create a package just yet. These are just some very simple tips that you can put in. If you were sending an email, you could say, this is what we will do, but this is what we won't do for this price, and just be very, very clear on that. So, and number 3, and again, common sense, but not common practice. You have to categorically, you have to charge for the additional work. You have to. You can't. You're not in business to be a charity. You have to charge. If the client, okay, don't send the client a surprise bill. Oh, surprise! I did that work for you, but here's a bill. Nobody likes that. Nobody. I don't like it. You wouldn't like it. Your client wouldn't like it. And when I'm saying charge for it, you be very clear up front and say, look, we will not do that. This is clarity. We will not do that. This is what we agreed. Here's our engagement terms. Here's a ticks and crosses exercise. This is what we do. This is what we do not do. If you want us to do that, this is the additional charge for it. And let the client decide. Don't you decide. Let the client decide. So again, I've got another story here related to children. And I quite like this one. But basically, Tobias wouldn't clean his room. So Tobias was banging. He said, "I'm not cleaning my room. I'm not cleaning my room." So Mummy and Daddy came up with the clever idea. And okay, we have been reading a lot of child psychology books, and we've done a lot of parent training, because we were like, we did not understand how to control a 3-year-old. Three-year-old is like the worst age ever, or it has been for us. I felt like I just didn't understand anything about parenting at all. But what we did is we start not charge for it. We weren't going to say to Tobias, right, that's £3. You know, if you want Mummy and Daddy to clean your room, that's £3. Or that would be a good idea. Get some money from doing that. What we did is we said, look, if you want Mummy and Daddy to clean your room, in theory, we're going to have to charge you, because that means that we don't have time to read you a book. Whereas if you tidy your room, then we do have time to read your book. Now, that was, again, training Tobias to start thinking, well, okay, if I do this, you know, I've kind of got to pay for it, if that makes sense. And okay, I don't want my son to feel like he's got to pay for his parents to read him a book. Totally the opposite. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to train him to think, well, look, if I do this, it gives Mummy and Daddy more time to be able to play with me. It gives them more time to be able to read a book for me. So we're very, very strict on our routine. Well, I say we're strict on our routine. Lauren's very strict on our routine, whereas me, I'm just awful. Like I'm like the best and worst dad, all wrapped up into one. I'm very, very playful, but when it comes to rules, like, good God, yeah. And to be honest with you, it worked. Like Tobias quite happily went off and cleaned his room, and he sat there ready with his book, ready for us to read the book, bang on 7 o'clock. And it worked. And that's the exact same thing with your clients. Is we need to charge for it because we need to manage their expectations. But not only that, we need to help them see the value in what we're doing, because if we can't help them see the value in what we're doing, we can't charge for it. But if for example, I don't know, let's think of a scope creep example. So payroll. So payroll is a great example. Client sends the payroll. I've done the payroll. I've sent it off for signing for approval. So we used to send it off for approval via e-sign. So we would not file any payroll unless it had been e-signed. Once the payroll had been e-signed, we then filed it. We then got an email from the client saying, I've made a mistake, I haven't paid someone. So by rights, I should charge for it. And I did, because I said to them, I said, look, this is outside the scope of what we've agreed. We agreed to run one payroll run. Now we're going to have to run the payroll run again. If you would like us to add this person onto this month's payroll, it is going to be an additional cost of £50 plus VAT. So I've given them a fixed price. I've told them that what I will do, what I won't do. I've been very clear on it, and I've stopped them from, stopped myself from allowing them to have something for free, if that makes sense. Now, it's then in the client's ballpark to then decide, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth £50 plus VAT, so £60 charge? Is it worth that? Or what are my options? And the client came back to me and said, what are my options? I said, well, look, we can make the change. It's £50 plus VAT for us to make the change. Or we can put it onto next month's payroll run. You could pay the member of staff in advance on their pay, and you can run it in next month's pay or next week's pay. I can't remember whether it was weekly or monthly, actually, thinking back. And the client actually agreed to do that. So I managed their expectations. I told them there'd be a charge for it. I told them why there would be a charge for it, because we're having to rerun it. I managed their expectations. I tried to build not necessarily there's a value in it, but there was kind of value in delaying it, because delaying it would mean that we wouldn't have to charge for it. Does that make sense? So you will make mistakes with these 3 steps. So I'm just going to cover them again. So we've got stop. So just stop doing stuff for free. Clarity. So be very, very clear on what you will do, but what you will not do, and charge for it. If your client wants something from you and is asking for something, listen to what they're asking for. If they want it, then create something for you to be able to deliver that, but then you have to charge for it. And okay, you will make mistakes. It's guaranteed. Like, we all make mistakes when we're trying to learn new things, and it's impossible not to make mistakes when it comes to pricing. There'll be times when we are trying to manage our clients' expectations, and sometimes we get things wrong. So the clarity piece, for example. So on my ticks and crosses, it said unlimited telephone and email support. Now, unlimited email and telephone support meant one thing to me, but it meant something else to the client. So I hadn't managed the client's expectations. So therefore, I had to sacrifice and do something that I felt that we should have been paid for, but they felt it wasn't, if that makes sense. So stop, clarity, and charge for extras. Yes, exactly. So the other thing I'm going to say as well, I know I've used my son Tobias and Jackson in this, and hopefully that helps you just think about it differently, and how what we're doing is actually training our clients to be naughty. And okay, I don't want you to go and say to your clients, you naughty boy, you should not have done that. You should not be asking for me to do stuff for free. Don't treat them like that. But one of the things I will say is communicate to them like they're a child. And it sounds really harsh when I say it, but communicate with them like they're a child so that they can understand. So you're not coming across as the accountant and bookkeeper and saying, right, well, we need to file this section 419 form and this VAT B1 form and this and bombarding them with the tax return forms and all these technical jargon. I need to file this tax return, this VAT return, all this stuff. Yes, we do need to do it for the client, but it's not our responsibility. It's actually the client's responsibility. So just be very, very clear when you're communicating. And the last thing I want to say is the reason why I'm sharing this is there's a reason why I had to do something, because I was killing myself. I was literally killing myself. The stress that I was going through, not being there for my family. My son Tobias had just been born. I was working 60, 70 hours a week because I was so determined to get my business to work, to make it profitable, to grow my business, to double it in size. And I achieved all of those goals. But I lost sight of the reason why I started my practice in the first place. And I started my practice in the first place was to earn more money and work less. And what actually happened was I earned less money and worked more. Does that make sense? And that's the reason why I had to change it. And what I want to leave as like a parting comment is your family is much more important. But if you were anything like me, I was saying, I'm busy, I'm in a meeting, I have a deadline. And I kept saying that to my wife. I kept saying that to my son, Tobias. And it breaks my heart to think that I was saying those things. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. It's not worth you putting your clients first. When was the last time that you actually went into your diary and booked out time for your family, for the things that you enjoy doing, and nothing, and I mean nothing, no client deadline, nothing can get in the way of that. Like, that is dedicated your time. Now, that's what I do now. And my relationship with my wife is so much better. My relationship with my children is so much better. I've actually been able to see Jackson walk for the first time. I've been able to see his little personality as he's growing up. Just the little things, little changes, little smirks, little things that he does. And I've been able to do that because of what I've done in the past and what I've learned. I've been able to put that into my life and start doing that. So if you're interested and want to learn more about how to get the most performance out of your business, so think of me more of like as an engineer. I've run a successful accountancy practice. I'm brimming with knowledge on marketing and sales that I'd love to share with you and help you grow your practice. I've helped thousands of accountants and bookkeepers worldwide grow their business. I helped a client negotiate a six-figure bookkeeping fee. It was actually negotiating at $500,000. Unfortunately, the client didn't win it at $500,000. We won it at $280,000, which was a massive win. At $500,000, I felt like it was too big a contract for them. But by the by, that's what we were able to help them do. So if you're an accountant, if you're a bookkeeper, and you're wanting to grow to level 2, I'll call it, which is £200,000 worth of revenue or $200,000 worth of revenue, then come and join me. I'm starting to run a webinar series. Your first access to the webinar series will be free, where I am absolutely determined to help you maximize the potential out of your business. And help you generate the money you deserve, help you avoid these things like scope creep, help you avoid all the time and money. I mean, I've spent literally tens of thousands of pounds on training myself to be a better business owner, and to be able to understand the marketing side of things, to be able to understand the sales side of things, and how you implement that into a cloud accounting practice. So I want to share that knowledge with you. So if I was to set my practice up again, is kind of the theme of it. You get to learn from from me as an industry expert, and I will be bringing in other experts to come and help as part of that. But if you want to come join me for the first one for free, and I know it's kind of contradictory in terms, but I am starting this up. This is starting from scratch, and I'd love to help you along your way. But if you are interested, just put "I'm in" in the chat, and I will reach out to you. So I've got some comments here, Stephen, from Stephen, and thank you. I've just kind of went into the flow there because I just feel like it's so important when we talk about scope. So let's have a look. Pisses me off. Yeah, I can't say that live. Sorry. Last priority is clients and take ages to pay. Yes, that's another thing. Let's leave that for another webinar about clients taking ages to pay. Yes, we need to stop creating bad clients, and for the best will in the world, like, and again, I'm going to say this about my children. I was training Tobias to be naughty, and I've realized that now, and I've realized the errors in my way, and that's exactly the same as what I was doing in my accountancy practice, because I was training my clients to say it was okay to have ice cream at 7 o'clock at night. It's okay to have your pie and eat it. Does that make sense? Like I was doing that. I was allowing that behavior to continue. I didn't say, no, look, stop. This has to stop. You can't keep expecting me to do stuff for free. And if you have a difficulty with that conversation, one of my favorite ways of positioning it is, if you were working with, let's say you're working with a mechanic. So you're doing the bookkeeping for a mechanic, and the mechanic's asking you to do something massively out of scope. So they're asking you to do post some sales invoices, and you've not agreed to do that. That's not part of your engagement. They've signed up for the entry level package. This is outside of it. They want you to do some credit control as well. And one of the things I would say is I would then turn it back on them, and I would say, look, if you asked me, or if I asked you, sorry, to do add a carburetor onto my car. So you've just serviced my car, but now, sorry, not a carburetor. I want you to tune my car, or I want you to clean my car. Would you do that, or would you be expected to do that for free? So turn it back on the client and use a case study example of, would they charge for it? And just ask them the question. Just say, would you charge for it, or would you expect, or would I, or should I expect that for free? Because then that manages their expectations and changes their mindset, because actually they start to question themselves. Well, actually, no, I would charge for that. So no, you're right. You probably should charge for that, but maybe I can't afford it. Well, if you can't afford it, that's fine. Like, that's nothing. We can't control that. We can't control whether clients can afford to pay us or not. I wish we could. Well, actually, we can, to be honest with you, if we're focusing more time on their accounts and on that than on actually doing the bookkeeping, and we're spending more time, as Stephen would say, making cash flow simple. We've got time to actually make sure they've got money to pay us. Let's have a look. Most service-based industries have exactly the same problems. Website developers. I've actually not tried to get scope creep on a website developer, but again, it was because I didn't understand. I was told that they'd build me a website. What I didn't understand was this task that I was asking them to do was outside the remit of building a website. Now, I didn't know that. They hadn't managed my expectations. They hadn't been very clear as to what was included. But what they hadn't done is they hadn't told me what was not included. Had they told me what was not included, I would have known that wasn't included, and I'd have been happy to pay for it. Does that make sense? Creating too much value for free. Yeah, there's no value, and I hate to say this, and this is me contradicting myself, giving away stuff for free, is there's no value in giving away stuff for free. All of this content that I'm pushing out there and my webinars are going to be charged for, because I'm giving away too much value for free. And I do have to stop that, because people will show up more. People will be inclined to show up more because I'm actually charging for it, and people will see the value in it, and I will be able to add more value because I'm charging for it. Great boundaries must be clearly outlined. Yes. Sometimes out of scope services crop up every month. Yes. And this is, again, when it comes to scope creep and clients asking for stuff for free, again, it's all about managing their expectations. Now, if you've got a client that you're charging £100 a month for, it's not worth you going through everything with a fine tooth comb. It's not worth it. Like you can't be going through and saying, right, okay, we agreed that we'd only do 10 transactions, we've done 12, because you've got to find the numbers, then you've got to rerun the price. It's not worth it, not every month anyway. If you did it annually, then you could recoup your costs. But as long as you're managing the client's expectations, and you said, or got your team to say, look, Mr. Client, your clients have gone from 10 to 12, which technically is scope creep. And yes, it's 20% more, but actually that 20% more work, is it worth spending your time at £250, £300 an hour as the leader of the organization to be re-quoting that client? It's probably not worth it. Does that make sense? So we can manage the client's expectations in that situation, but that's a different story. Stop, clarity, and charge for extras. Yeah, thanks for these. Keep going, Jay. These are good examples of disciplining people. Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. Well, Stephen, I will see you on the live webinars. And Stephen was live with me last week. So if any of you have got a success story or something you'd like to share that's worked well in your bookkeeping or accounting practice, I would love for you to come on live. If you're not feeling confident enough to come on live, we can pre-record the content and push it out as live content if you so wish. So again, this is all about, what I want to do is want to help improve the confidence of accountants and bookkeepers as well, to start pushing themselves out of their comfort zones. So that's again something that will be a transformational aspect of coming and working with me. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me on this live. I don't know what's the time, 37 minutes. I'm about 7 minutes over what I planned, but I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. If you do have any questions, please do ask them in the comments. I will reply to everyone's questions in the comments. If you're watching the replay, just put replay into the comment section as well, so I know that you're watching the replay. And like I say, have an absolutely fantastic Wednesday. I shall speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.